And the microphone was muted. All right, let me start over. Thank you, Heather. Oh my gosh. All right, so welcome to Raise Your Profitable Consciousness and Master Your Emotions for Success. I'm Jena Rodriguez, and I am a transformational mentor and creator of the detachment method, the 4 egoic archetypes, and the 14 ego tricks. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And I help you master your emotions and the nuances of the ego so that you have clarity, prosperity, and professional success. And I help you get your brave on, of course, right? My business is all about Brave Masters, and that's my company name. And I have throughout my life truly witnessed what it means to be brave and what it means to continue to evolve my brave and of course making up what that means for me. And hey, Carrie, hey, Heather, good to see everyone. Natalie, I see all of you. Thank you so much for being here now that my mute button is off. So go figure. All right. So we're going to talk about the 3 P's of profitable consciousness. So first of all, I made up the words. So what is profitable consciousness all about? For me, it is absolutely about how you can raise your bottom line, not only financially and in your business and or career, right? That traditional profitability, but more importantly, it's about raising and increasing your bottom line of your life and of your relationships, of your mind and your well-being and all of that, right? And so why am I in this mindfulness room is because part of getting to that place and raising that consciousness is about being mindful, is about self-awareness, it's about self-leadership. And so I want to give you some tools and some takeaways that are going to move you to that place. And so if I can go from spiritually and emotionally and financially bankrupt in my life, let alone a life riddled with in my early years, there was domestic violence in the household. Of course, there was a divorce, there was bullying, there was financial hardships, living on food stamps and homelessness at one point. There's a lot of adversity that I've gone through to get from that to a place of being a truth-telling brave master standing on stage with you right now, right? Being with you today. There was something I had to do in the middle, right? What did I have to do in the gap there, which is become more self-aware of what I have to say about it, right? What do I get to choose that changes my life, that makes it better, that makes it successful? And I've discovered a lot of methods and frameworks and systems and tools, because that's who I am. I love strategy, in order to help us grow in that space, right? And so I've gone through a lot of different things, and we've got a lot of adversity happening, sure, in our lives and in our world. And we are the source of all of it, meaning we are the source of that experience. So we get to say how we experience life at any given moment. And I want to give you some tools to do that. So let's dive in. And if you have questions, I believe there's a Q&A. And if I don't answer them live, please say so, and I'll answer them privately through the chats or what have you. So make sure that's available to you as well. And so let's dive into the 3 Ps. I hope you have your notebook, because I'm all about taking notes and giving you things to take notes on. And the first one is personal ownership. And so the first P of any shift, transformation, change, raising the consciousness, in my opinion, is about personal ownership. And what that looks like for me is owning your past, owning your present, and also owning the future results and circumstances, the stories, the beliefs, the choices, everything that's gone on in your life. If you really look at it and take ownership for, wow, that's in my life for a reason, then you start to take back your personal power. And I believe we start out in life very much in a victimship, right? We start out with that victim mentality. We start out with dependency, of course, especially as children, right? We're dependent on others to feed us, take care of us, protect us, right? And yet we grow into these human beings that we are, these adults that we are, right? And yet we sometimes still fall back on that type of behavior. And so our egoic self is all about victimship. It learns to protect us. It takes on that job, and we give it so much power that then we start to deflect all of the ownership of the life that we have created. And when we start to take personal ownership of that, then things can actually change, because then you come to a crossroad that allows you to make a new choice. And I believe that personal ownership is about increasing your self-awareness and your leadership, more importantly, of self and then others. And, it's like being an example for someone else. And I think that's the important part. And I just want you to imagine, like, any place that we are in life, we have what's called an identity, and our egos like to live in that identity because it feels really safe and comfortable. And so right now, our identity, what I call the fishbowl identity, we live in a fishbowl, and we see what we want, but it's in the other fishbowl, right? And yet we are the ones that have created it. We've created the constructs and the stories and the narratives and the beliefs that hold us in that identity to feel safe and certain. And what's unbelievable about what we want and what our success really is about jumping out of that fishbowl into the next fishbowl and getting really uncomfortable. And so in order to start that process, we have to take personal ownership. So point number 2 is permission to resign. Number 2, permission to resign. And so this one actually just totally changed my life. And it actually had a big impact in my life last year. So when my early 20s, I started really owning my life, and it was a slow turn. Like, the ship had to be turned 180 degrees, trust me, from my adversities and hardships. And those were there, but I was the one experiencing them. So I had to turn that ship around if I was going to take a new route. And then the second thing that really changed things around for me was permission to resign. And what that means is emotionally divorcing the things that no longer serve me. And so you first want to identify what you want and what your vision for life is. But then second, you want to identify, well, who do I have to become, and what do I have to let go of? What stories, what beliefs, what people, what places, what things do I have to resign in order to have that new identity, that new fishbowl that I keep looking into, right? And so that process is huge for me. And if it's all you take away, if all you do is make a list of all the things that you have to give up, you have to give up sometimes the beliefs that you're holding on to so strongly that you're not budging, you're not allowing any other possibility. You sometimes have to give up the comforts of your story and your identity and your beliefs that are, have become part of who you are, even though it's not, right? It's just the construct and the container that we've built around us. And so that one is really powerful at making the change. And last year, I gave up a business partnership. I changed, I actually, resigned from my, some mentorship that I was in, not because of them. They had nothing to do with it. They're fine. They were great, and they changed my life. However, I was becoming something else. So I had to choose things that were more aligned with where I was going. And I even changed my environment, which meant I moved from Texas to LA, California. So here we are. All right. So that's number 2. I'm moving through these very quickly. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A. All right. Then number 3 is really fun to look at, is ultimately we have to pattern break. So the first P is personal ownership. Number 2 is permission to resign. I give you permission, let it all go. And then number 3 is pattern breaking. And so pattern breaking is really about understanding the difference between your ego and your essence. The ego, the false self, and the higher self, right? We all have it. We all live with it. And the higher self is who we truly are. And yet our ego is what we define it as. And we put this identity around us, and it's the false self. It's not who we really are. And so our patterns and our habits and the things that we end up with in life, right? We think it's all a cause of, it's like an effect of something. We are the source. We are the cause of our life. And in order to recognize what gets in our way and hijacks our momentum, we have to identify what our egoic behaviors are all about. So that's what brings me to my 4 egoic archetypes. And I encourage you to take the quiz. The quiz is fun. It's 6 questions, very simple. And you can find that at bravemasters.com/quiz. And the four egoic archetypes are the realist, the martyr, the illusionist, and the rebel. And don't worry about whether you want to be one or not. The truth is we're all four of them at some point. However, there's one that is probably more your go-to or your predominant. And that's the one you want to just take note of like, wow, I really do this a lot. I behave in this way. And so the archetypes are made up of 14 various ego tricks. And our ego tricks are things like fear. It's like requirement, which what I define as the things that we have to have, right? The have tos, the control, the need for control, the requirement of something, right? That's our resistance to not having something. Like that's a big one for me, if you could tell. Another one is the shoulds. How many of you ever should on yourself, right? We're shoulding all the time. I should do this. I should be better at that. I should know this. I should be somewhere, farther along in my life or my business or my relationships. I should be married. I should be divorced. I should be, I should do more. I should do less, right? There's so much shoulding going on that we're not really seeing what's the source of that. And another one that's really big, and I'm just giving you a few of them, is anger or frustration or irritation. Like that's all in one bucket. That's all one ego trick. Maybe you're a little annoyed, right? Those are another big one. That's another big ego trick is we get angry, we get frustrated, we get, there's a defiance going on. And ultimately all of these and many more, right? There's 14 total, are reactions. They're not our higher self response. They're the reaction of the ego. And so when we start to look at, let me just kind of paint a picture for you. If you are currently in this current fishbowl identity, which we all are, we all construct an identity at any given moment. When we bring a lot of baggage with us at times, and then we create new stuff and we put it all in this fishbowl. But our goals and our desires and the things that we want outside of us, outside of our current reality, is another fishbowl, right? It's another fishbowl identity. And so what's in the middle? There's a gap, right? There's a gap between where you are and who you are and what you say you are and where you want to be. And that gap, which I love to call is collapse the gap. I love calling it that, right? I'm your collapser. Is what's in the middle is the signal of an ego trick, but it relates to an attachment. And that's why I created the detachment method. And the good news, if you take the quiz, you can have all of that. You can have you'll find out what archetype you are. And then there's a button right below where you can, of the video training, where you can download the ego tricks and the detachment method. So you can have it all. And it's so powerful. I hear every single day, even today, I heard someone give a testimonial about, I felt myself being reactive to the situation, and I pulled out the detachment method and I started just walking through the 7 steps, and I completely changed my perspective and the outcome of that circumstance. And I was like, wow, right? Like, that's what I want to hear. That is what I want to gift to you. So it's been a really powerful process, not only to witness this. I am really good at seeing patterns in behavior, but being able to give you a tool and a construct and a structure that allows you to identify it quickly. My goal for you, in order to raise your profitable consciousness, is to increase your bounce back factor. It's almost like, how fast can we rebound from the negativity, from the moments that we feel we're in the reaction, but we bounce back and we're able to identify what it is and identify why we're there. Like, why are we reacting? That's the more important part, not just the fact that we're reacting, which is step one, please, step one. However, we also want to understand, why are we reacting? And that's getting underneath the surface and looking at the attachment. What attachment do we have? And usually attachments look like expectations. It looks like resistance, of course, and it might be, an emotional suppression. Most of them are, a lot of them are. That's a belief loop that we've created that makes us feel safe or right, or, like we're in the right. And all of that hijacks our momentum towards the things that we want, that other fishbowl that we want to be in. And so that's my encouragement. And, I just want to kind of bridge this with what I had to experience last year when I started to discover this. The ego tricks are something that came to me last year, and I'm so grateful. I recognized the behavior, but I wasn't quite sure how to articulate it for you. And these ego tricks, definitions are really, really powerful. And what I noticed for myself when I had a what I call a breakdown, or an emotional spiritual breakdown, in November of 2018. And I didn't know what was really happening, but I knew it was big. I knew it was necessary. I knew I was going to make it, but I was like, what is this about? And the short version of this is, I realized that I had made my whole life seem, it was certainly there was good reason for it, I guess, is the way I'm looking at this. However, it was robbing me of everything that I wanted to become, and everything that was next in my future, the next fishbowl, right? And I realized that I had created an entire life of control. I mean, massive control, like being responsible for everyone, being responsible for everything, trying to hold it all together, trying to keep all the plates in the spin, right? Keeping them all up. I literally hit the brick wall of exhaustion, and I gained 90 pounds. I also was busy, was a badge of honor conversation. Anybody can relate? Please tell me you can relate. Right? You're so busy that you just deflect yourself. You just completely keep yourself away from feeling what you need to feel in order to heal it, all right, and actually transcend it. And so what I did first was surrender. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how. I figured it out. And I truly felt myself let it all go. Like, let all and I even have goosebumps right now, because that's how it felt, was so transformational. And I started meditating for the first time in my life, like honestly meditating daily, frequently, and diving into my self-awareness at a whole nother level. And once I started to surrender and really get clear on what I kept trying to control, what were my behaviors, what was I holding on to that no longer served me, right? Back to the permission to resign. And that's when the truth came up. That's when the truth showed up. And the truth was, I was no longer meant to be in that business partnership that I said yes to. I was no longer meant to be in the mentorship program that I was in. I was no longer to live in the city that I was living in. There was something more exciting for me. There's a bigger vision that's being realized, and I'm getting in the way. And so profitable consciousness is about uncovering, discovering, and releasing the things that are in the way of maximizing your bottom line of your life, and of your vision, and of your genius, and all of that I know that you want. And you guys wouldn't be here in this week of professional and personal development if you didn't want more, in my opinion. And I think you've been attracted to this conversation for a reason. And so I'd love for you to share what it is that you want to create, and what is it that you tell yourself that you can't have it or don't have it. What's the reason you give yourself? What's that conversation? Because if you answer those two questions, I promise you, what's in the middle, you'll start to find the ego tricks. You'll start to notice that you're attached to certain ways of being, or things that you've believed about certain situations. And so when you answer that question, first figure out what is it that you want, and then figure out what is it that you say to yourself is the reason that you don't yet have it. And that's where we'll begin. So thank you so much for being here. This is a short session. Please reach out to me. I think I can. I know Crystal says that badge sucks. the busy badge, right? I think I can type in here. Let me see if I can communicate with you guys here. So that's my website, bravemasters.com. And then once again, please take the quiz. You get a free quick tutorial, video tutorial. Oops, did that work? Did I put quiz on the end of that? It doesn't show. You get the point. And it also gives you all of the tools that I've mentioned today. And then also please look me up on LinkedIn I'm on Facebook. You know me, I'm everywhere. So you can just look for my name and you will find me. I promise. Jena, one N. And here's my LinkedIn. So feel free to connect there as well. And so I have just truly enjoyed being here with you. Let me check in. I don't know if there's any questions. I don't see any. So let me also read through your chats here. It's so lovely to have you guys all here with me today. Let's see. Hold on. Oops, how do I get back? I don't know how to get back. Okay, thread. Okay. All right, here we go. Yeah, everybody's, confirming they've got the badge, right? The badge of honor. So yeah, so I don't see any questions there, and I welcome them all. And I'm here, if you connect with me personally, then I'll be able to answer your questions. And I would love to know, what is your archetype? And the good news is I am too. I use all the archetypes myself, and my go-to archetype is the realist. And so but it'll be interesting to see. And so far I've had over hundreds, thousands of people look at this quiz, and when they take it, it's like eye-opening and confirming, I think, at the same time. And you really start to understand yourself from a different perspective. And if I can change perspective, if I can just change that needle 1 ounce today, one degree, then you can end up in a whole new trajectory of your life, right? It's a whole different direction. And so that's what my hope is for today. And I really, really appreciate you all being here with me. If you have any questions, please reach out. And in the meantime, connect with me. And I encourage you to get your brave on. So thank you so much. Natalie, I can't wait to see what your result is as well. Thank you so much. Take the quiz, enjoy it, learn from it, and then share it with me. That would be amazing. And Crystal, so grateful to see you again. That's awesome. Good to see you here. And thank you for the compliments. And Julie, hello, Julie. I see you. So this has been amazing. So thank you, my friends, for being here. And let's go get our brave on. Until next time. Talk to you soon.